All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this year's Women Techmakers International Women's Day Manila. Hope you're all staying safe and taking care of yourselves. We appreciate you taking your time off your busy schedule to join us live this Saturday. I'm Daniel Ray Paladas, and I am a volunteer from Women Techmakers Manila chapter. I will want to start off by saying that everyone is welcome here, no matter your age, gender, career background. This event is a safe space for you.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Justin De La Paz, and I am the WTM ambassador for GDG Manila, and also will be the co-host for today's event. And we are very grateful for each and every one of you for showing your support and enthusiasm for today's event. The last 2 months have been filled with excitement and nervousness, and here we are today, joining by a lot of people in the live audiences. We know that we are still in a pandemic, and our hearts go out to the people around the globe who have been suffering from or have been affected by the global pandemic COVID-19.
This year, we focus on the key idea of progress, not perfection.
You got that right? And to myself, I really think that it's fitting, especially for us women who tried twice as hard to achieve something that we ever dreamed of. And, aside from the glass ceiling that we have to break at some point in our personal journeys and careers, and sprinkles of imposter syndrome here and there, there's an inner constraint in us women that is holding us back from reaching our true potential.
I completely agree. As a kid, I've always wanted to pursue a career in science, but growing up, I was discouraged because, yeah, kababae mong tao. And I never really had a lot of people to look up to as women are scarce in the field. So at some point, I developed this urge inside of me to just do really, really well, to prove myself that I was worthy to be part of that world. So every move had to be planned, else I would be judged. Or so that's how I felt, at least. Like there was no room for error or anything like that.
Yeah, that's definitely a shared emotion to a lot of us, especially to those who are starting their journey in the tech industry. And more often than not, we were stuck in that state and we get analysis paralysis, ending up not doing anything. And you know, always asking ourselves, what if it fails, or what if it's not perfect? So we often place ourselves in high position and unstable pedestals of our own creation, and that restricts us from achieving freedom and actually trying new things. So for today's event nga, yung theme natin is progress, not perfection. We are celebrating all kinds of progress, may it be small or big. And
Yeah, it
go on, right?
okay. It definitely strips us from getting that euphoric feeling of just being in the moment. All of our experiences, like you said, both good and bad, are just as important because every step contributes to our own growth and discovery. May it be in the little or the big things, as you mentioned, that we do in our lives, in our successes and in our failures. Every moment is just as precious, and as Isabella from Encanto would say, I think most of us can definitely relate to her. It just needs to be and nothing more.
Yeah, that's true. I hope everyone watches Encanto then.
Yeah.
I guess it's a great film, especially for women that are, trying to find themselves, and the characters there are very relatable, especially Luisa, I guess. So, hindi siya yung parang normal na character na makikita natin when it comes to, our film and animation. So, definitely a must watch for us. And that's why this year we are celebrating again the theme of progress, not perfection. We celebrate every kinds of success and accomplishment. All of those things that we gone through for the past 2 years with pandemic, which is COVID-19. So every positive and negative or small achievements, small milestone and large or big milestone, we should celebrate it.
Yes, and we would also like to hear from our audience. Hashtag progress, not perfection moment. The big question is, what are your progress this month that you celebrated? Big or small? We'd really like to hear from you, so we hope you go on and type away all of your emotions, all of your experiences in the chat because we really, really want to hear from you guys. We're mainly doing this for you guys. So I hope we
Yeah.
see, yeah, all right. We
Okay, I
see
can see
three
some
hands
comments
here.
here. Yeah. So, hi GR. Welcome to IWD as well as to Dea Pabilona. Welcome to
Hello,
IWD Manila 2022.
guys.
Right. Go on, please. Also comment your insights when it comes to progress and not perfection.
You're
All right.
right. So, we can't wait for you to learn a lot today from our amazing lineup of speakers coming from Google, UBX Philippines, DXC Technology, Microsoft, and Twitter. As the sessions progress, please share your questions in the chat section to the right of the screen. We will share these questions with the speakers who will answer them at the end of the day in the Ask Me Anything session. You can also view the schedule on our Bevy website. Just go to bit.ly/IWD-MNL-2022. Right,
Yes.
to finally kick off our event, let's hear first from our co-organizer, Women Techmakers Manila Ambassador from GDG Manila. Surprise, surprise, Ate Justine de la Paz for her welcoming opening remarks and an introduction about the Women Techmakers program.
All
Woo!
right. Okay. Let me just share my screen for a bit. Mm, Okay, so again, welcome everyone for this year's event, IWD Manila 2022. It's been a long time since we created or we hosted events like this. Um, I guess it's really hard for us to, connect, especially in virtual, where everything is available right now. But for this year, we really think that it is the time to, create an event that will definitely help us and everyone can relate to, especially those who are trying to navigate their careers in the tech industry and even though in other industries as well. So, first of all, I want to introduce to you what is Women Tech Makers. So, Women Tech Makers is a global program by Google. So its initiative is to actually, provide visibility for women in community to give like innovation and participation in the field. So Google believes in diversity and inclusion is important to thriving vibrant communities and focusing on women inclusion in and also, it is designed to promote an environment inclusivity for women in technology, as well as celebrate more women leading in the industry. And if you want to know more about this program by Google, then you can visit our website, which is womentechmakers.com. And there's a lot of also communities from around the globe that you want also to join their event. Okay. And then, so for this year's event, our theme is progress, not perfection. Basically, we want to, celebrate all progress that we've created for the past years, and we don't want to let fear hold us back following our dreams. And often we hold ourselves to impossibly high standards and feel disappointed when we can't reach them, or worse, we don't even try. And when we let the idea of being perfect anytime, we allow ourselves the space to of freedom to try new things. So kahit man lang maliit na bagay like new sports, a new hobby, that's a progress itself. And with this kind of situation that we are in, it's really important for us to step outside our work and try a new thing that will kind of bring us new joy and excitement in our everyday lives. So kapag nag-try din tayo ng panibagong mga things, natatry din natin na mag-fail, and at the same time we learn new lessons from there. So may it be good or bad and ugly, it made us who we are today. Instead of striving perfection, we can strive for growth and discovery, which is very important. Instead of being fixated in a destination, we enjoy the journey where it takes us. Again, our paths is not linear and we come across seemingly impossible challenges, but we celebrate all kinds of progress, not perfection. So I hope that everyone is celebrating also International Women's Month, even though hindi lang April or March. Every day should be yung WTM or women in the tech industry as well as in different industries should be celebrated every day. All right. So first of all, I just want to give you the community guidelines for our event. We want to be respectful to each other, treat everyone with respect, participate while acknowledging that everyone deserves to be here, and each of us has the right to enjoy our experiences. So if anything, merong mga bad behavior kayo nakikita sa comment section, please do report us. I report the person to us, and we'll take some actions on that one. Consider what you're seeing and how it would feel if we were said to you and or about you. So be mindful of our words. Think before we click, and speak up if you see or hear something. Just like I mentioned earlier, harassment is not tolerated in our event, and you are empowered to politely engage when you and others are disrespected. So another one is zero tolerance policy for in-person or online harassment or any kind. Again, so please be mindful of our community guidelines. And yeah, next is our important links. Please be mindful of our links for today's event. We have the morning session, which is bit.ly/IWD Manila -AM. So that's for morning session. And then for our afternoon session, it's IWD Manila -PM. And if you want to check out who will be our speakers for today and also the topics that will be discussed, please visit our IWD schedule on our website, which is IWD-MNL-2022. And again, for later, we have an AMA session or Ask Me Anything session and networking session at around 4:30 p.m. Some of the speakers will be available there to answer all of your questions. So feel free to join us there and meet our speakers personally. You can scan the QR code or go to the link provided in the screen right now to join our AMA session. Again, just like we posted from previous weeks, we are giving away WTM Manila swags. So how can you win this? You need to post in your social media account your experience or insights that you got from our speakers, from our lineup speakers in IWD Manila, and include the hashtags IWD Manila 2022, hashtag IWD Women, hashtag IWD 2022, hashtag IWD Manila 2022, hashtag Women Techmakers Manila. All right. So again, we'll be picking two winners at the end of the event, and also we'll be raffling away also 3 WTM Manila swags as well as 300 peso Grab Food voucher. So for this raffle naman, for you to qualify is you have to attend the IWD session. It can be both, like morning and afternoon. You can also just attend the morning or the afternoon session. And then you need to fill out the feedback form that will be flashed later on. And yeah, so we'll be giving a lot of things today. And then again, I want to thank everyone for making this event possible. GDG Manila, GDG Cloud Manila, as well as Women Techmakers Manila, and our community partners, PWA Filipinas, Women in AI Philippines, Google Developer Students Club, Holy Angel University. Ayan. Okay. Last but not the least, this is our speakers for today. Feel free to connect with them in their respective LinkedIn accounts, and also if you have questions, again, don't hesitate to comment all your questions on our comment section, and we'll be collating all of them for the speakers to answer later at our AMA session. All right. Hope you enjoy our event for today, and back to you, Rai.
All right, I'm back. So, thank you, Ate, for that. Before we also continue, shout out sa people in the chat. Hello, Ningoyin. Good morning. To Julie Baha. She was able. Oh, wait, yeah, my insight si Julie Baha dito was able to successfully organize a metaverse event. Wow, a lot of hiccups, but progress because it's the first time for us to do an event with more than 500 attendees. Congrats,
Woohoo!
Julie. Oh, grabe. Meta na
That's a
talaga ngayon, di
progress.
ba?
Yeah. All right. And
Yeah.
also for our other participants, good morning. I hope that you're enjoying for today's event. So our speaker, we have like a lot of speakers for today, like seven, I guess, nine speakers, including our panel session later. So I hope you stay tuned. There's a lot of great discussion later, especially on our panel discussion. It would be on the pivots and career journeys of our women in technology. Okay. Um,
Alright.
right?
Oh, good morning. Good morning, Dana, as well. So, na-late medyo si Dana. Okay, good morning, Dana. And to Miss Pig Rabbit, good morning as well. Wow, daming good mornings. Okay, okay.
Yes, I hope
Um,
gising na lahat ng tao.
sana. Kasi late na rin eh. Okay, okay. Alright. So, again, thank you to Jazz for that opening. So, is everyone ready? Alright, let's formally begin our grand event. So, for our first speaker, many of us struggle when it comes to talking about our own accomplishments. Cultural and gender modesty norms, as well as imposter syndrome, can prevent anyone from acknowledging their strengths and expressing their achievements. Today, our speaker will help us explore strategies to build up your confidence and identity and be equipped with the tools and mindset to overcome imposter syndrome and actually celebrate your achievements. Our keynote speaker for today is very passionate about building a more diverse and inclusive tech industry and actively drives women in tech empowerment programs and initiatives that raise up diverse leaders and role models. It's my privilege to welcome Janise Tan, the Southeast Asia Regional Lead in the Developer Relations Ecosystem at Google. She will be talking about cultivating confidence. Let's put our hands together for Miss Janise Tan. Over to you, Miss Janise. All right. Um,
All right. So far, wait lang. We're still having like a technical problem for Miss Janice, but yeah, I guess we'll still go with our comment section, and also, again, share your experiences, your hashtag progress not perfection moments, and we'll be reading out loud all of those experiences. We want to celebrate all kinds of achievements. So if like you, well, recently I got a new skateboard, and I think that's a new progress for me because I'm trying a new hobby that I want to really try. So how about you, Rai?
oh wow, that's so cool, Ate, to hear that you actually do skateboarding as a hobby. Wow. For me, I'm
Yeah.
not. I mean, I'm not a very physical kind of person who likes yeah, those kind of things. But I really appreciate people who also do the form itself because I think it's very fun to watch or just do basically. For me, progress. How would I say progress? as a hobby, I guess, I started playing the electric guitar more often this week. Maybe because I've had more accountability bodies as well who want to collaborate on making a video or something like that. So, ayun, napupush talaga ako nga. I have to do my part for for the collab just so, we can do it.
Wow,
Ayun.
amazing. So I guess a lot of us then try new things na not necessarily or maiisip ng iba, like for men, that's a men's sports or a men hobby. But I guess a lot of us can do a lot of things, like kung ano man yung gender preference natin. So yeah, I guess that's a good start for us. And again, hello to Dana. Good morning, as well as to JR. Hello, hello.
Hi guys, good morning. If you have any hobbies or any kind of achievements this week, we would really love to hear from you.
Yes.
Aside from hobbies, Ate, what other things do you think that you have progress on this week?
Well, I guess in terms of work, marami kasing technologies and other tools that are, growing in the community in the tech world. So I guess having that progress to learn new technologies and new tools, kahit na medyo nangangapa-ngapa ka pa, that's a great progress for us. So, ayan. Um, ikaw, kamusta? I guess all of our participants also are students, and how do you create progress on yourself, especially in this situation that we are in a pandemic and all of you are in a virtual schooling stuff.
Yeah, actually, ang hirap mag-check ng progress oftentimes because asynchronous meetings and you can't keep up a lot with all of the activities going at you at once. So, for me, I just try to create like a list of everything to do for the week and then try to one by one, well, like step by step, go through each and every one. And although sometimes, yeah, you're late submissions and stuff like that, it's kind of inevitable as well. I don't really think it's much of a setback anyway because of the weird circumstance we've been placed in. I think it's also nice to be kind in these kinds of times when everybody is kind of struggling as well. So, isa din yan.
Yes, all right. I guess we already have Miss Janice in our stream. We'll just check first if she's already good with her presentation, and then yeah, I guess again, um, hello everyone who joined our event for today, and I hope that everyone is ready to listen with our first speaker. Again, Rai, you can introduce again Miss Janice.
All right, okay, for the second time, hello, hello. Many of us struggle when it comes to talking about our own accomplishments. Cultural and gender modesty norms, as well as imposter syndrome, can prevent anyone from acknowledging their strengths and expressing their achievements. Today, our speaker will help us explore strategies to build up your confidence and identity and equip you with the tools and mindset to overcome imposter syndrome and actually celebrate your achievements. Our keynote speaker today is very compassionate about building a more diverse and inclusive tech industry and actively drives women in tech empowerment programs and initiatives that raise up diverse leaders and role models. It's my privilege to welcome Janise Tan, the Southeast Asia Regional Lead in the Developer Relations Ecosystem at Google. She will be talking about cultivating confidence. Let's put our hands together for Miss Janice Tan. Woohoo! Over to you, Miss Janice.
In the comments where you are, whether is it on Facebook or on YouTube video. So feel free to continue to keep the comments coming. We're going to make this an interactive one, so we have an opportunity to learn from each other as well. So thanks again for joining us bright and early on a Saturday morning on this session around cultivating confidence. So before we jump in, just want to share Women Techmakers Ambassador is a global program for all women in tech, like yourself. So it founded back in 2012. It began as an annual event which takes place once a year, and it's now a global initiative reaching over 100,000 women in over 190 countries. So I'm very happy today with the GDG Manila team and the Women Techmaker ambassadors to be at this event together with you. This is such an important initiative because there isn't enough women contributing to the tech ecosystem. And through these speaking opportunities, contributing to open source, writing blogs, and creating videos on technical topics, this will actually help to share your knowledge, because tech is very communal, and we want different outlets to have voices that is diverse. We don't want it to always come from one point of view. So be a part of the community, because diversity creates better outcome. Diversity in the gender, in our experiences, in our background, in our location, creates much better products and better outcomes for the entire tech community. And I hope that through this session today, we'll all have the confidence to speak up and also work towards creating a more equitable and representative picture of the tech ecosystem that we're all a part of. So today we're going to talk about different ways for you to cultivate and build your confidence. And the goal of this session is for you to walk away with tangible and realistic practices so that you're ready to take on new challenges and say yes to new opportunities. We're going to go through 5 different techniques that you can use to build this confidence. And we also work on ways that you can authentically integrate these ideas into your own life. We'll touch on concepts like the confidence gap, having imposter syndrome. We all still have imposter syndrome, to be honest, whether you're male or female. Very often we have that, maybe just a little bit more pronounced for women, because we take things a little bit harder. We do a lot of self-reflection as well, and sometimes we find it a little bit more challenging to get out of our comfort zone. So let's talk about also how to have this growth mindset for ourselves, and ultimately we want to build an action plan that we can start cultivating confidence in our own lives. So today's session is gonna, look like this session, look like an interactive workshop in a way. So I would love for you to, in the comments section, actually reply when we go through some of this active workshopping, because I'll love to hear some of your own experience and thought as well. And first of all, maybe to start off, I want to hear from you. What does being confident means to you? Are there some words that you associate when you think about confidence? What do you think confident look like, or what do you think it feels like? You want to maybe share your thoughts in the comment section? I would love to take a look and see what are some of the feedback that, what are some thoughts that you have on being confident? What do you think confident will look like? Yeah, we can feel free to share your comments in there. But yeah, so when we think about confidence, very often we think, okay, it means that I am a subject matter expert. I'm 100% aware of what's happening before I present about it. It means that I'm an expert in that topic, and that's maybe not necessarily the case. Let's maybe go through the definition of what confidence is. One of the most empowering facts about confidence is that it should make everybody feel better, that it's not something that's predetermined or fixed. In spite of some of the messaging that says you are born with confidence, you either have it or you don't have it, it is not true, okay? Confidence has proven to be something that we can create, we can cultivate it, and we can work on building on it over time. It's not something we're born with. And building confidence is definitely something that can happen relatively quickly, but like any other skill, it will be dependent on how much work you're willing to put on it. Think about how you learn a new programming code, you learn a new language, you learn a new skill. Confidence is also something we can learn and build on. And in the same way, it's not something that we attain and then we have it forever. We need to continuously work on it through our life. There's a saying that goes, if you don't use it, you lose it. So think of confidence like any other type of skills that you build up and practice over time. Yeah, I see in the comments somebody saying that, confidence is knowing that I can do something that I've set out to do. So yeah, that is also the, confidence that but it shouldn't stop you from not doing something because you like, maybe I'm not 100% there. Very often, I think we are our harshest critic, and therefore, if we take that step out to share, we can also take that opportunity to learn from that experience. We'll go into that in a little while. So being confident doesn't mean, like we're saying, doesn't mean you're sure 100% at all times. It is not that arrogant feeling that we say that, I know everything and everything is going to be perfect. All those things that we don't have perfection, some stage fright, some uncertainty, that is natural. It doesn't have to do with the amount of confidence we have. It also doesn't mean that, if everything is not perfect, it will be a failure. It sometimes people don't even notice, and you are the one who's actually nitpicking on yourself. So it's not that arrogant feeling, it's also not that nitpicking feeling as well. What confidence actually means is that you believe that you will be able to handle whatever comes your way, that while you might not know the answer, you trust yourself enough to know that you can take on any unknown situation and learn as you go. And even if you do fail, which could happen, failure is actually how many people learn. Don't let it stop you from taking on a new challenge or from learning from the failure. So it is that I trust I can handle the situation and learn from this outcome. So having confidence is incredibly important for all humans. It is the motivator. It takes our thoughts, our desires, our wishes into actions. So when you move into the world with confidence, you actually believe in yourself and your abilities, that you're more likely to then take on experiences and risks that will actually help you to grow, maybe even feel happier and more fulfilled in your life. So on one hand, in the Oxford Handbook of Positive Psychology, it says, if a person lacks confidence, there is no action. There is only crippling doubt. We don't want to be crippled by doubt. So the doubt that is holding you back from doing new things, saying yes to new opportunities, is something that we can overcome, and we can. So it is easy, right? We say confidence is good. It's also something we can build quickly if we put in the effort. So super easy, right? We basically are done now. We're set. We can go on and take on the world. Unfortunately, while it seems simple on the surface, in practice, it could be a little bit harder. So cultivating confidence is difficult, no matter who you are. I've been public speaking for 10 years, and when I go into a call, or like a event like this, I still feel a little bit nervous. I'm wondering, do I remember everything that I want to share? Am I going to be, stumbling over my words? Are there areas that I might forget? Would I, maybe look like a bubbling fool? Am I speaking too fast? Am I speaking too slow? Is the audience following? So there is a lot of research that says that women often have a harder time than men with confidence, and is referred to as the confidence gap. So social scientists have actually conducted countless studies around this and have found that compared to men, women generally ask for promotion less. We also ask for pay raise less. We underestimate our abilities more and generally experience a lower level of confidence. And this is all based on research. So if you feel that way, you're actually not alone. Many of us are like that. There's a lot that contributes into this. It could be the environment we're built up in. It could be society pressure, perceptions of what women should or shouldn't be, and conditioning that women also deal with when they're growing up. It's not an easy thing to have confidence at all times. But having meet many people across Southeast Asia, between you and I think Filipinos are one of the most confident people that I know. I see many diversity represented in all of the events. Just this morning, we have Justin and Ryan in this call, and they are confident speaker. And I think that the Filipino community have always been really outspoken. And I'm hoping that, if you're in this call because you feel like maybe you're not sure if you can be like one of these people that you're hearing today, you can. And we're going to show you the skills that you can learn to actually do that. So I just want you to take a look and see if this language sounds familiar to you. It was just a simple bug fix. I only did a little bit part of the work. I guess I'm okay at public speaking. I think this is probably the way we should do this. I was in the right place at the right time. It was good timing. I got really lucky. Sometimes, women, we say that a lot because we have a hard time internalizing our accomplishment. We underplay our win because we think it's just only, I guess, I think, probably I got lucky. And you're not alone. I have felt this way as well. And in fact, this is called the imposter syndrome. And maybe you're already familiar with this term. It's that feeling of inadequacy that persists when you feel, that I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be here. And it is something that affects everyone. I mentioned, it could be men, it could be women. It's not just women. It's just that women potentially feel it more than others. So regardless of how accomplished we are, you might feel, I used to feel imposter syndrome 5 years ago. Now that I'm 5 years into the job or 10 years into, my work experience, I still feel it. So imposter syndrome it's not just something that overnight, tomorrow I gain 2 more years of experience, no more imposter syndrome. That's actually not true. There is a lot of pressure that causes this, and there is studies that says that women and underrepresented groups have been shown to experience it a lot more often than others. So can maybe go into the chat. I want everyone to share our experience as well. Share some of the thoughts that you might have when you are experiencing imposter syndrome. So, add to the chat. I want to see what are something that makes you feel like, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Share some thoughts that you have that you think will make you that is kind of an imposter syndrome. And we can also start to see, that some of these thoughts, perhaps that you're not alone. They are common thoughts. We all have it when we're experiencing this imposter syndrome feeling that we are maybe not qualified. Somebody out there maybe made a mistake and they're going to find out, and actually I'm a fraud. In spite of all these facts that we all experience a lot of success, all of you have been successful in your own ways, contributing back to the community and the ecosystem that you're a part of, but somehow you still live with this imposter syndrome. So share what are some thoughts that you have that makes you feel maybe inadequate. And we want to see maybe it resonates with everyone, and it's something that we can as a community, help each other with. Because all these thoughts are very damaging for our confidence, and it's a vicious cycle that continues to happen unless we take active steps to actually prevent it and break this cycle. So these are some thoughts, that we commonly think about, not qualified, lucky, mistake, but not really. How can we break this? How can we deal with imposter syndrome? So there are many ways to deal with this. And the first thing is to recognize why and when we feel this way. When we experience these feelings, when are we likely to experience this inadequacy? Can we actively work to combat these feelings and the negative thoughts that arise? So recognize the pattern when you get a new opportunity. Hey, this is when I usually experience imposter syndrome, so that you can be prepared for what is coming. The second thing is to know that you are not alone. So even though even the most successful people have experienced this, so whether you become an accomplished person, or you are still early in your career, know that many people feel the same way, and recognizing that this is not something that is only unique to you. It will make you feel that this is easy to overcome this challenge, because everybody feels the same way at a certain time. And we can also retrain our mind. We talk about how this is a skill that we can learn. And lucky for us, in the ways that we counter imposter syndrome, there are also strategies we can use to cultivate and build this confidence in our lives. Let's jump into the practical steps of how we can cultivate confidence in our own lives and also overcome these feelings. So the first strategy is collect the data. We want to counter our own internal critic and build up our confidence. It can be very helpful to remind yourself of everything that you've achieved in your life thus far. Let's try it, okay? We're going to do this exercise. It might seem a bit strange that the screen just go quiet for, a minute. I want you to just take the next 1 minute, make a list of 10 accomplishments that you have. Can be anything, work related or something from your personal life. It can be big or something small. Take 1 minute. I want you to put a list of 10 accomplishments that you have made in your life. Maybe you had a child, maybe you had a promotion, maybe you actually contributed something meaningful in your work. Let's take one quiet minute. I'll give you 1 minute of quiet time. Think about the 10 things you have accomplished. Let's go. I'm just going to be here. Okay, so I hope that you have now a list of 10 accomplishments that you have. I want to I want you to actually look at this 10 accomplishment that you have. I see some of you typing it in the chat, which is great. It's could be something, as simple, even not simple, because I don't know what this might take. Like, I've submitted my assignments on time. I've mastered guitar, for a collab. These are accomplishments, these are achievements that you've done. You've taken, the time to actually improve yourself, to work on a skill, to invest into your own life. For example, getting a job in the IT industry, if that's what you're looking for, getting promoted within 2 years, traveled to Singapore and Hong Kong. Oh, got a house. Oh, I love that one. Personally, I just recently finally got my first house, and it's something that I'm really proud about as well. So yes, this accomplishment, you work really hard on these things in your life. So I want you to think about, this accomplishment that you have. Think about your strengths. What are you really good at? What are the things that you have worked really hard on? And then list them in your own time and acknowledge all these good things that you have done. So, we would talk about making the 10 accomplishments through it. Take your own time. From this 10 accomplishment, have a think about it maybe after this session as well. What are some of the 5 strengths that you have, from this, that maybe help you achieve this accomplishment? Or maybe think about what others have said about you in feedback session, maybe performance reviews. I often go to my colleagues and ask them for peer review. Like, could you maybe share with me how you feel working with me, and learn some of my strengths and weaknesses? And I want you to really think about accomplishments and strength, because very often we're focused on what we can do better, what are our weakness, and we think that people are picking on us. But there are areas that we are amazing at. So identify this area, and I want you to actually think about it. I think I've cut through this earlier by asking everybody to share it in the chat. But yeah, think about these strengths, and I want you to actually meditate on these thoughts and think about it. Because as we think about finding ways to build up confidence and counter imposter syndrome, we also want to reflect on how far we've came. You've came a long way, and there are ways that is helpful for us to be able to gain confidence, and one of it is keeping track of accomplishments. So I have a little folder in my computer where I save emails or notes from people saying well done, great job on this project or on that collaboration, because finding and keeping this place in this, like I call it, a celebration list, is an opportunity for me sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit down to go through that and go, hey, my manager said this about me, my colleague said this about me, and they someone congratulated me on a job well done, or maybe my friends might have said sent me a little thank you note. And these are things that I think we can reflect on to acknowledge all the positive things and how far we have came. So whenever you're experiencing these feelings and you default to underplaying your own role in your success, make a list, think about it, and come up with a plan on how you can track it and also measure your success and your wins. Because many times you're able to take this success and wins and share it back, maybe in a performance review, maybe to your manager. The better you track data, the better you track and measure your success, the better it is of actually articulating and sharing to others what it is, and so that it doesn't slip from our memory, because sometimes we forget all the amazing things that we've done. So tracking accomplishments may look different for everyone. Find a way that works for you. So I want you to think about it now. What is some ways that you prefer to track? Could it be an Excel sheet? Could it be, a email folder that you forward, nice emails to yourself? Could it be maybe in your phone you have a little album and you take photos of great things that you've done or messages people send, you do a screenshot and you save in it? Find a way to track down these happy moments that acknowledges how far you've come, the role that you play in your success. And I want you to really cherish these things and take pride in it, because the more you're able to see this bigger picture, that you're not that small little mistake that you make, the more comfortable and confident you're going to be with your own experiences. So data, we're talking about data, right? Self-affirmations, your own strength. So we've already on the path to creating a more positive, holistic views of ourselves. The next practice we're going to talk about is the importance of self-affirmations and positive self-talk in building up our confidence. I'm going to play this quick video.
Look, I can be a shark. Now my whole house is great. I can do anything good. I like my school. I like anything. I like my dad. I like my cousins. I like my aunts. I like my Allisons. I like my mom. I like my sisters. I like my dad. I like my hair. I like my haircuts. I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my rooms. I like my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. Yeah. I can do anything good. Better than anyone. Better than anyone.
Isn't that an amazing video? Jessica just gave us an amazing example of how we can bring the concept of self affirmation into our lives. Looking into the mirror and saying positive things to ourselves might feel very strange, really uncomfortable, or awkward for us to do initially, but fostering this positive self talk is incredibly important. And combating negative thoughts are what we often, unconsciously repeating to ourselves. Sometimes as we get older, we're harder and harder on ourselves. Look at, Jessica doing this positive affirmation. She loves everything about her life and herself, and she tells herself about it. Maybe stare into the mirror and, talk about the strengths that you have. And maybe at the end of it, think, I love and I accept myself. I love my strengths. I love that I'm outgoing. I love that I'm taking steps to improve myself. I love that I'm a great tech person in industry. I love that I'm a good colleague to my peers. I love that I'm a good friend to my friends. So love yourself and consciously talk to yourself positively and have this great mindset. I love this video of Jessica's self affirmation. Children very often are least critical. They are the ones who, tell themselves truly how they feel because they don't internalize and overthink it the way that sometimes we adults do. So if you have caught yourself, having negative thoughts about yourself, this increases stress. It drastically decreases confidence in what we feel. So because we have the power to shift to more positive mindset, focus on the positive instead of the negative, and replace this negative over time, it will get easier and easier. And anytime that you find yourself getting caught up in this negative self-talk, take a breath, pause, breathe, maybe count to 10, and maybe channel your inner Jessica with a I am amazing. I can do this. I know that I can and I will. So when you start to slip into negativity, come up with positive self-talk and tell yourself that you can do this. It might feel hard initially. It might feel a little bit strange. It might feel like, this is weird. How am I going to do this? It's not true. But think about if you come across a friend who's sad, who's unhappy, how would you counsel them? Think about how you would be for a good friend and be that to yourself. It's also important to also point out that it doesn't mean that we have to be unrealistically, what they call toxic positivity. We don't want that. Some experiences are just terrible. They are bad, but it's okay to even have bad days, when nothing feels great. However, we can remind ourselves that even in those situations, it will eventually get better. It always does. So if we find that we're becoming unfairly hard on ourselves, then definitely don't take on the entire blame. Be intentional about it, figure out what you can learn from this mistake, and frame these thoughts in a more positive way and be gentler, nicer, and kinder to yourselves. So, another list that I'd like you to make, probably for you to take on this assignment later, is to make a list of all the common negative thoughts that you repeat to yourself. I'm not going to give you ideas. I'm sure we can all come up with negative thoughts, and I want you to, after, maybe write down 10 negative thoughts that you have yourself. If it's on a piece of paper, I want you to crumple it up and throw it away. If you're doing it on like a note on your computer, put down 10 thoughts, negative thoughts you have of yourself. And I want you to delete that document, or that note. And I want you to think about how you feel. It's like, this negative thoughts, I don't want it in my life anymore. Burn it. Yes, right. Thank you. Yeah. Burn these negative thoughts. And I also want you to then go on and make another list. This is an exercise that you can take with yourself. And I always find that, when you take the time to go through maybe mindful journaling, taking some time for yourself and think about positive things that you're doing, that would really, really help you from reframing your thoughts and being more positive about the things that you do amazingly. So take time later after this call, do that. Write a list of negative things, extract them out from your life, and then think about what are some of the positive things that you like about yourself. What are the favorite parts of yourself that you like? Your best strengths, write it down. And then we want you to let go of perfectionism as well. We're really feeling, great about our strengths, so think about these, list your accomplishment, affirm that you are an amazing person, and then building up our confidence by not overthinking about perfectionism, because being a perfectionist is what kills your confidence. And I'm not sure how many of you feel like you could be a little bit of a perfectionist at times. And is it the fear of not being perfect that causes you to hold yourself back? For example, if somebody say, hey, will you speak at this event? And you're like, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have a ready deck for that. I'm not sure I'll be ready in time. I've never presented on this topic before. I'm not sure I can talk about it. I'm not an expert. I haven't got my PhD yet. Sometimes we overthink, we overanalyze it. And then we have this crippling self-doubt because we want to be perfect. But it doesn't need to be. Maybe you just need to wing it. Maybe you just need to have a few more rounds of practice with your friends, with your peers, to build up your confidence. And one more thing, you are not alone. Studies do show that women are more likely to compare ourselves to a perfect standard, and it sets us unrealistic expectations, and then also give a feeling of disappointment and dissatisfaction. We're more likely to hold ourselves back from maybe answering a question. Very often you find that maybe women a little bit slower at even asking a question, answering an answer, or taking on a new opportunity and going, yes, me, I want to do that. Because sometimes we want to feel we want to do a perfect job. An example of that is, for example, is then saying that when, for his job, a man might apply for something that they're maybe like, 50, 60%, good at it. They're like, yeah, I'll figure it out when I get the job. I'm gonna, put myself up for the job. But for a woman to be, can I fulfill this job description 100% and do it amazingly? If not, maybe I wouldn't apply for it. But it's always been also said that, if we fit a JD 100%, then we're not pushing ourselves, there has to be space for us to grow. So confidence building is also thinking about not being perfect all the time. So reflection time later, when you think about this, are you holding yourself back to unrealistic expectations? And what are some of these feelings of perfectionism that you're feeling right now? What are some things that you feel, you absolutely need to emulate somebody or do something a certain way that causes you perhaps a little fear? I want you to think about these feelings and write them down. Because when we write down, we become more aware of these and how this perfectionism, when you reread it, can creep into our work. And then also potentially, shut us down, because in our voice is negatively telling us that, nah, it's too hard and you're not ready, you can't do this. We want to acknowledge what are some of these thoughts that we have, and then overcome it, raise our hands and say, yes, I think I can do this, and I am going to take on more risk because I'm amazing, because of all these accomplishments that I have, and all these strengths that I know I have that would help make this a success. So when we truly let go of the idea of something being perfect, we're more open to actually taking on new challenges and experience without feeling doubt or fear of failure. We're more likely to say yes and then take the risk. So as mentioned before, taking risks help us to experience more confidence of more feelings of confidence. Sorry. So let's dig into that space. So this meme. So, it's impossible to say yes for everything, especially when you're feeling stressed or maybe spread really thin. It's actually a good practice to sometimes say no. You don't always have to say yes to something. The option of being of saying no sometimes is something that we struggle with. We say yes to everything, but saying no is also an opportunity for you to learn, to grow, to set boundaries. It's very common for people who have imposter syndrome or feelings of perfectionism to turn down career making opportunity because they don't think that they will do a good job. But when you're presented with a new opportunity, it's important to distinguish between that voice in your head that is saying, you can't do it because you are not worthy, you're not good enough, versus the one that says, you can't do it because you have too much on your plate, because this is not your space, because there are other things that you're prioritizing. You think about why you are saying no. Is it because of a lack of confidence and negative self-thought? Or is it that you are setting good and healthy boundaries? Listen to the latter, but ignore the former. So when we turn down an opportunity because we're scared that we fail, we stay in our comfort zone. And then it's a really nice place to be because it feels, well, comfort. That's why it's called a comfort zone. But I think we can all agree that if we don't step outside our comfort zone, we become, just stuck in that space. We are not taking that moonshot. We're not saying yes to new challenges, to new experiences, to new opportunity. And while it can be intimidating to take on a new role or project that you're not sure you can succeed in, know that you were asked to do it for a reason. You were offered that job for a reason. You were offered that promotion for a reason. Don't have that thought that, oh, I'm not sure why they chose me. I'm not sure why they asked me to be a speaker. I'm not sure I'm an expert in this. They chose you for a reason. So Nothing wrong with learning new things, nothing wrong with going to a space where you still have to learn. That's what we're all here for, to constantly learn and grow. So even if we experience failure, when we step out of our comfort zone, it is a great learning opportunity. And this is really a critical lesson for everyone, that failure is a way of learning. So do one thing every day that scares you, because confidence is ultimately about being comfortable in a wide variety of situations that will make people uncomfortable. So it's more than you regularly expanding your comfort zone, but occasionally just throw yourself into the deep end. If you stretch your comfort zone just a little bit every day, you might end up having a larger comfort zone and becoming to feel more comfortable even when you're outside of it. So I want you to write down something that you will do to step outside your comfort zone. Give yourself, give yourself a little bit of stretch goal. What I'm uncomfortable with, but I really maybe like to do. I want you to write it down. Share in the chat with everyone. Have a look at what other people are also trying to do. An example, I want to give a talk in the next 3 months. I want to do a company presentation in the next 6 months. I want to maybe learn a new language, or I want to interview for a role that is not in my current scope right now, but it's always something I've been passionate about. Think about what is something that you will do to step outside your comfort zone and say yes to. Or maybe it could be, I've never mentored someone before, but I think that I might have something to give to the younger generation or to somebody that have reached out to me. Think about something you've not done before, that's outside your comfort zone, that you've hesitated with, and go for it. Oops, sorry. So when we practice saying yes and taking on new opportunities that move ourselves out of our comfort zone, we cultivate a feeling of confidence in ourselves that we can take on whatever life throws our way. I see in the chat is that I want to learn Thai and Spanish and travel the world. That's a great one. Learning 2 new languages and traveling the world. Simple things like, traveling, you might think, it's just a holiday, but sometimes maybe traveling alone might make you feel a little bit scared. And scared is actually a really good feeling sometimes, because the feeling of like fear and anxiousness actually in our body register excitement, sorry, it register as the same kind of feeling. So when you think that I'm fearful and I'm anxious, change and reframe your mind and think, I'm excited and I really want to do this, because in your body is actually the same hormones, and for in your head you just need to reframe it, and instead of calling it fear and anxiousness, you're actually thinking of that same feeling as excitement. And these ideas lead us to our last confidence practice: understanding and adopting a growth mindset. So what is a growth mindset and what is a fixed mindset? So the first step to define what it is a growth mindset is seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. It's like, oh, why did I do this? This setting up, things that will make me fail. This is so hard. I've never done this before. Why is my manager setting up all these obstacles to make my life harder? No, think about it as, this is an opportunity. I've never done that before, but I think I could actually be amazing at it. My manager must believe in my abilities for him to actually suggest, or for him or her to suggest that I do it. I'm going to seize this opportunity to show that I can. Because a lot of scientific evidence says that us, intelligent talents and abilities, don't stop growing, all these don't just go like, okay, tomorrow I turn 21, it stops. I'm at a max of my abilities right now, or at 30 is the max of my abilities. It's not. We go through different stages of development throughout our entire lives, and we fall sometimes into the trap of, once we grow up, we are there, we have arrived, we stop believing that we can grow anymore, and we view our abilities in a static or fixed way. It's not true. We can constantly grow. And it's a mindset that we can approach to life, where we believe, in our own talents, that we can actually overcome this. My talents can be developed further. I can grow in confidence. I can become a leader. I can do public speaking. I can take on a new role. And this is the exact opposition to a fixed mindset that says, I can't, this is the way I am, this is how I'm born with, I'm already adult, I have maxed out all my talents, this is all that I'm gonna be, I'm never gonna get promoted, this is all that I do. No, I can't do that. Don't have that fixed mindset. So I want you today to go back and think about the strengths that you have made at the beginning of this workshop. We talk about your accomplishment, your strengths. And then I also want you to think about both the hard skills, your programming language, for example, your technical skills that you have, and the soft skills that you already possess or you are working on possessing. Are you actually a good leader? Are you a great teamwork person? Are you a good communicator? And sometimes I think we don't realize that the strengths that we have haven't happened open overnight. It has been built up over time. They are the result of consciously working to be better at things over time. And it is possible for us to learn these skills. We didn't become a strong leader overnight. We didn't become a good communicator overnight. We all took time to do that. After public speaking for 10 years, last year, I took on a speech coach because I felt that I was saying, a lot, and I wanted to not do that anymore. So I went to a speech coach, and my friends were like, Janice, you're already a public speaker. You already present at all these events. You already talk well. Why are you going to someone? Because I believe that we can always grow and get better. There are always opportunities for us to grow. So identify some of the skills that you have, and perhaps, if you feel that maybe I'm not so confident about it, constantly work on it. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. And your strength, your number one strength, is your ability to constantly grow yourself and develop new skills. Change your definition of failure. It is not that, you failed and you did not succeed. Failure is actually, you having a chance to step out of your comfort zone, to try something new, to have new experiences, and to learn something that develop your abilities further. So, I want you to think about and share maybe with the community something that you've learned in a recent failure. And then also, then what have you learned from it? We've accomplished a lot today in a very, very short time. I know, unfortunately, this is done virtually and we can't hear of everybody's different challenges and identify with it. But you can maybe start a little circle with your friends, maybe with your sisters, your brothers, or if that's a little bit harder, with your peers, maybe a little support group in the office, and do this exercise together and learn from each other, share with each other what you think some of your negative self-thoughts are, your strengths are, and your weaknesses are, or your failures, and how you have been learning from it. I think it's very healthy to show vulnerability and also learn with your community. So today we talk about the 5 ways that you can work on to build your confidence. You build a list of your accomplishment and strength. You make a plan on how you're going to track your future success. You created positive self-affirmations that you're going to repeat to yourself over the week. Remember, you're going to go to the mirror like Jessica, and you're going to tell yourself the amazing things that you do and replace negative thought patterns. You have identified areas where perfectionism was getting in your way because you're overthinking it. You're thinking it needs to be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be good enough. And then make a plan to combat these bad thoughts. You've decided also on a way that you can step outside of your comfort zone, little ways that you can expand your comfort circle a little bit bigger. And you've also learned how to adopt a growth mindset and change your relationship towards failure. And of course, these are not all the only ways that you can cultivate your confidence. If you Google, like you go to search and say, how to build confidence, you're going to find a lot of different ways that you can combat those feelings and build confidence in your life. But it's likely that 1, 2, or maybe all of these practices already resonate with you, and that the most important thing for building and sustaining your confidence is to find ways to bring these practices authentically into your life so that it feels right for you and easier for you to incorporate it. It's not a one size fit all. There's going to be approaches that works better for you than others. So I want you to wrap up this session today and think about, in the next month, I will practice cultivating my confidence by, what is this one thing? I want you to not just shut down and leave this event and go, okay, I've done a workshop on cultivating confidence, I'm confident now. No, I want you to actively put down an action item of what you will be doing to cultivate your confidence in the next month. And in summary, today we've come up with an authentic plan for us to be more confident and know that it will not solve overnight. We all have bad days and moments that upset us, that will get us down. But now you have a plan. You have a plan. And I think plan is what also secures us. We feel that, okay, we've set our mind on doing something. Maybe it might not today. Maybe it might not be tomorrow, but maybe in the next week, maybe in the next month, in a time that is comfortable or maybe slightly uncomfortable for you, that is authentic, that's real for you. Take on that challenging project, move on in a space that might challenge you a little bit, and say yes to some curveballs that life throws at us. Confidence is a relationship that we'll be working on for the rest of our lives. It's not just a 30 minutes workshop. So go ahead, take time with it, wait for it to become a little bit more natural to you, and put yourself on a great path towards confidence. You will be better at it over time. And ultimately, you will feel better about yourself when you can think about how you can positively contribute to the community around you. You've got this. Confidence is a relationship we'll be doing for a very long time. So know that you can do this and be positive about all the self thoughts. I'm going to leave you with a final slide, which is, compared to men, we underestimate our abilities more. So don't underestimate yourself. Know that there is a confidence gap and go for it. Acknowledge that there is that confidence gap. It's not going to be 100%. It's not going to be it's not going to be a perfect thing, but you're going to do it anyway. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I'm really, really happy to meet with all of you. I hope that you will take that step out to do something outside of your comfort zone. And I look forward to hearing about it. If you want to stay connected, you can actually just go to connect with me on my LinkedIn page. Just let me know that, we met at this event. And my link is janicetan.com, and it'll bring you to my LinkedIn page. Thanks again, Justin and Rai, for having me today and meeting with all of you amazing Women Techmaker ambassador community.
Thank you so much, Miss Janice Stan. That was an amazing talk. I learned a lot from your talk today. One of those is that you need to really boost your confidence and really feel well appreciated if you kind of, reflect how far you've come on our journey and, doing like self affirmation and also letting go of perfectionism. Thank you again so much for today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank
And
you, Justin.
yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right. So, before we move on to our next speaker, there's a slight change on our schedule for today. So, before we go with Miss Kavika, we'll go into Miss Anna. So, um, irrespective of where we are on our career path, asking and giving feedback is an essential skills, right? And unfortunately, we aren't utilizing this power to drive our success in our career, role, project, and basically everything else. And our next speaker today is Anna Jane Matillano, the product design lead at UBX Philippines. And Anna will be talking about the importance of asking and its impact in our success. Over to you, Miss Anna.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Justin and Rai, for that introduction. So, hi everyone. I'm Anna Jane Matillano, and today I will be talking about the importance of asking and its importance in our success. So, in line with our topic, I would like to ask you a quick survey. So, to also try to make this talk a little bit engaging. So I prepared here a short Google form survey for you. I hope that you can share with us your answer. So I would like to know everyone's thoughts. How comfortable are you in asking others for help or for feedback or for clarity when things are unclear or for the things that you want? So I also setting aside a few minutes for you, for everyone here to answer the poll. So you can either scan the QR code flashing the screen, or you can click the link that I think the host is flashing right now. Also, there you go. Yeah. So like the previous speaker, I let I'll pause a bit and I'll wait for your answers, guys. But actually, we will look at the result later on after the talk to make sure that I also do not take over time. But if you don't have access to the form, you can also leave your comments like what you did from the previous speaker. You can do that. You can share with us how comfortable are you in asking for help, feedback, and the other things, and it's gonna be fun. Later together, if we still have the time, I'll flash in the screen the results of the poll, and then we will know how the participants, like how they gauge themselves in terms of their um, how comfortable they are uh, with these questions. All right. Okay. So I give you some more time. Yeah, so in a half a minute, I'll proceed with the talk. Take your time, guys. You can always do that also while I'm talking or when we are in our boring part, but I hope I don't bore you too much. Okay. Few more seconds, 10 seconds, and I'll proceed. All right. Okay. So, yeah. So let me tell more about myself. So I'm Anna Jane Matillano, but I prefer to be called AJ, short for Anna Jane. I have been a product designer and have been helping build digital products through design and creative problem solving since 2013. So it has almost been 9 years. A little bit background. So I grew up in the beautiful island of Palawan and moved here to Metro Manila to study college. In my early years in the industry, I used to actively join hackathons as a participant. Eventually, I became one of the mentors of the many hackathons that I joined. Through it, I got to travel around the Philippines, and so far I've been to Iloilo, Bicol, Cebu, Leyte, and I was able to connect with other fellow designers and also developers and business owners in the tech industry. It was a fun experience. And through it also, I got affiliated with my future employer, Union Bank. So through these events, um, I get to know some of the people there even before I became their employee. So little did I know I will be joining their company 3 years after I became one of their mentors in UHAC Cebu. So you can see here. So, for everyone, especially those who are still starting their career, I hope that you find the time and you enjoy, like, while you're still young, you have the energy, you have the time. Try to join as much events like this so you get to grow your network and you never know who you will meet. So what am I busy with right now? I am leading a team of product designers and also we have UX researchers in Union Bank's innovation arm called UBX Philippines. I make sure that the designer satisfaction level is high so far while working with us and that they continue to grow as individual designers and members of the team. I also give talks to students at their schools virtually and in person as a way of me giving back to the community. My talks usually aim to give them a glimpse of the challenges and joys that they would encounter if they join the workforce in the tech industry as developers, as designers, as product managers. And actually, just a few days ago, I gave a talk to 144 students during their ICT week in La Verdad Christian College. And I was talking about how important it is for them to hone their skill. So I shared to them that it's not just about grades, it's also what's important is what they can contribute and what they can bring in the table. That's what people are paying us for. All right. Yeah, so some If you want to grow your network and if you want to ask me any questions about the talk later on, or if you want to know about product design, about UBX, you can feel free to visit my website at www.ajmatillano.com. I have there all my social media links, especially the LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a connection request, and that also tell me that you've seen my talk here, um, and I'll definitely add you up. All right. So, quick overview of what we're gonna talk about. So we will have three main topics. Yeah. So we will try to answer these questions. So first, why do we find it hard to ask? Let's say to ask for help. Why do we fear rejection when asking the things that we want? Why are we afraid to be judged when we try to ask questions, especially in meetings or in a classroom? Second, why can we become better at asking? How can we become better at asking? So some practical tips that I've researched also. So first of the three, why do we find it hard to ask? Of course, there's a lot of reasons why we find it hard, but I will be sharing to you these three probable reasons. Because we are not used to ask for help, or maybe because it's in our culture, and also maybe it could be our biological setup. So to dive deeper, so for the first one, we are not used to ask for help. According to Nora Bouchard, an executive and leadership coach and the author of Mayday, Asking for Help in Times of Need, people are hardwired to want to do things on their own. We are not used to ask the other people to finish the task for us. So often that makes us uncomfortable and uneasy because it requires surrendering control to someone else. Example, we would rather extend our working hours to finish a job rather than asking our colleague or someone else to help us. Why? Because we think that maybe they cannot do the job well, or I would rather just, do this, work overtime rather than be rejected because maybe they will reject my request. Second, it could be also in our culture. Most of us, Filipinos, are mahiyain or shy when speaking in a crowded room or when approaching other people. I found an article in factsandDetails.com elaborating about hiya in our culture. So what is hiya? Hiya or shame is instilled in Filipinos at an early age. To be shamed is the greatest form of disgrace in our society. It is a controlling element in the Filipino society, and a person's behavior usually is restricted by his sense of hiya, while public behavior is censored or approved of by hiya. Example, an employee might feel shamed or hiya to ask in a meeting to clarify some items in order to do his or her job. But most of us grew up in families or schools where asking questions to the elderly are bashed or punished. So we carry that with us as we grow up. So third, it could be our biological setup. So this is for women. Just like the previous speaker have mentioned, there are tons of research about this. Surprisingly, uh, women think less about themselves. So women are less likely to ask for a pay raise than their male counterparts. This is based from a research also. According to the Carnegie Mellon University economics professor Linda Babcock, co-author of Women Don't Ask, men are 4 times more likely than women to ask for a raise. And when women do ask, we typically request 30% less than men, as the research went. So this information is also from the book That's What She Said, What Men Need to Know by Joanne Lippman. The author also mentioned that it might be because of our queer biology and the culture that we grow up in. So personally, I find this interesting and eye-opening. Being aware that most of us women undervalue ourselves is, I think, a step closer of being more confident and fighting off the default feeling that we have of being uncomfortable to ask for things that we want, especially in the workplace. Right. So moving on to our second part of the talk. Why is important? Uh, why is asking important to our success? So we have identified some of the reasons why we find it hard to ask. Let's not talk about the importance of it. There are a lot of benefits from asking, but we'll just cover three main points. I'll also be sharing my personal experiences mostly to discuss these 3 points. So first, we save ourselves from wrong assumptions. Second, we get access to hidden information. And third, we have increased chances of getting better opportunities. All right, so first, we save ourselves from wrong assumptions. As a product designer, we validate our assumptions by asking for help from the actual users to test out our designs and give their honest feedback to us. The goal is to find out the areas for improvement and test our assumptions during the design phase. We ask them how do they find a particular design or particular user flow and overall user experience through usability testing. It could be done remotely, especially during the peak of the COVID-19, but most effective would be to do it face to face, just like in the photo. So this is one of our usability testing on an app that I've been designing. So just a quick example, I have experienced so many times designing user interfaces that seem so easy to us, the development team. But when we test it out to the actual users, it's actually not that easy and they still get confused. So here I'm flashing to you two uh, images. So on the left, I show you an example of a card that is inside a horizontal scroll. And you can navigate through it by scrolling horizontally on your screen. It seems pretty easy, right? But when we test it out to the actual users who are less technical proficient than us, they did not know how to navigate through it. So the experience was difficult for them. They can't find the cards, especially those that are at the bottom of the list. So we iterated the design and exposed all the cards instead in a vertical scroll. And now the user can easily see everything at a glance. And once we tested out to the same set of users, most of them, 100% of them agreed that this is way easier than the first design. So by asking the actual users about our designs and solutions, we find out what works and what does not work for them and not for us. And we will have a data as our basis on what to improve on the next design iteration. So second, as a team lead, it's important for me to know what's going on in the mind of the designers and how they are working with the other peers because I don't micromanage. I let them be and they have autonomous on what they do because I want them to grow as designers. So to help me find out how my team is doing, I use 3 survey tools every quarter. So first is the growth survey, second is 360 feedback, and third is a leadership feedback. Yeah. So so for the growth survey, this is an internal tool within the design team. I want to know what's their goal. How can I help them for the next quarter? I ask my team about also the blockers, what they want to improve on the next quarter, and then we discuss this during one-on-ones. Based on that goal, we choose the right courses to study, say in Skillshare, Udemy, or whatnot, and we become intentional about what the next activities the designers will take on the next quarter in order to achieve that goal. So this survey helps me understand their aspirations and get their own ideas on how I can help them achieve their goal for the next quarter. So we're also limiting it just for the next quarter so we can be more focused. Yeah, so on the photo, I'm just flashing some of the examples that I asked, like what do I want to develop next quarter? What do I want to do differently? What do I need to be successful? So I let the designers answer that question. And then another tool that I use for cross-functional survey is what we call 360 feedback. So this is pretty popular. So I ask people, the people that they work with, how they collaborate, quality of their work. Are they have do they have any issues with the designers? Do they have attitude issues, or do they not give their output on that deadline, or do they perform well? Can Would they commend this designer? Is there any commendations that they would like to mention? So this is an avenue for everyone to share their thoughts about that particular designer. Also, ultimately, this gives me a fair basis to make sure that the designers will be rated according to their performance. So it's not just like politics. It's not politics. So it's really you get what you work for. So I'm flashing also some of the questions, actual questions that I asked, like what's the quality of his work most of the time, and what can he or she continue doing that you think is effective. And then the third tool is a leadership feedback. So if I get feedback for the designers, as a team lead, I also should open the door for them to give me feedback, like how is my leadership, and to make sure that I grow as a leader, I should open up my ears to them. It's a bit uncomfortable at first to ask feedback for yourself and to know that there are issues in your leadership, but as you always do it, you become more comfortable as you do it all the time. So I ask this every quarter. So some of the question is, what can he or she improve in terms of team leadership, or are there any recommendations or issues you want to mention? So I just let them voice out so that I can improve on the next quarter. All right. So for the third benefit of asking, we will have increased chances of getting better opportunities. So as an employee at UBX Philippines, I started as an individual contributor. I really did not apply as a lead. But after a few months of joining the company, unfortunately, our team's lead decided to resign. So what I did, I grabbed this opportunity and asked my line manager, like, what's your requirement for a lead? Like, are you gonna start looking for a lead? Like, and then I asked my manager, like, can you try me out? Like, maybe, just try me for a few months and see if I can be fit for the role. And so they did. And fortunately for me, I'm still the lead. I've been leading the team, I think, 1.5 years now. So had I not asked, I would not have landed the role that I currently have and missed the opportunity to grow, not just a designer, but a leader of a team in our company. So for those who are hesitating to grab that opportunity, I really hope that you set aside those fears and really just try it out and just ask for it and then see how it goes. So for the last part of the talk, how can we become better at asking? So I will just also focus on three so we don't get over time. First, know what type of question you need to ask, be curious, and take courage. All right. So for knowing what type of question you need to ask, so this is based from betterup.com. I did not make this myself. I made some research. So there are three types. Open-ended questions. So it leaves room for more discussion and demand more explanation. Example of this is, how satisfied are you with this talk? So I let you, the audience, answer that for me. And then second type is follow-up questions. These let you pursue your topic and expand your conversation. Example of a follow-up question is, what are the topics you want to hear from the speakers next year? So you will be more specific in your answer. And then the third type is a leading question. It prompts a speaker a specific response, and it steers a conversation to a particular direction. So an example for that is, did you like what you just heard? So it can be answered by yes or no. All right. So second would be, so it doesn't matter what type of questions you're asking as long as it leads to the information that you need. To do that, you need to know what type of information you're looking for and the people you need to ask. A good questioner knows that you should prepare first before you ask the question. And you need to be intentional as well. Choose your words with purpose and make sure you're asking at an appropriate time. And third, take courage. Sometimes people don't ask questions because they're afraid of what others may think of them. It can be nerve wracking to stand up and use your voice to ask tough questions, especially in a crowd because we have the hiya factor. Most of the Filipinos are mahiyain. Asking great question is a skill that takes time and practice. So I like what the previous speaker just talked about. Yeah, like we really just need to hone this skill because this is a skill that we need to practice, to experience it, and to maybe hire also a coach to make us improve. I don't know if there's a coach that exists though for asking questions. All right. So to leave you with my, so here, before we end, so I have some questions like, do you need clarity in your projects, but you always hesitate to ask? Can you reflect on this? Are you afraid to ask for that raise? Are you stuck at something and can bring yourself to ask for help most of the time? So whenever you have these fears of rejection inside of you, like you're afraid to ask your boss, or you're afraid to ask your colleague, or in a meeting you're afraid to raise your hand and ask for clarity, try to fight it within yourself and remind yourself that asking gives you a 50% chance of getting what you need, while not asking gives you no chance at all. So it's still always better than not asking. All right. So I hope some answered that. So I'm gonna let go of my fear that nobody answered the poll. So I'm gonna share my screen now. So I think we still have some more time. Let's see how others find it comfortable or not comfortable in asking. Oh, nice. I'm happy that I let go of my fear because before the talk I was a bit afraid, like, huh, what if nobody in the participants will answer the question because they're busy or they just don't care. So thank you everybody. Such a good job. So far 17 has responded. So for the first question, how comfortable are you in asking others for help? So out of 17 responses, let's see. So the biggest portion is somewhat uncomfortable. So 6 responses said that. And the next is very uncomfortable. So a large chunk find it not so much comfortable. And then 4 and the 2 people answered they find it easy and comfortable. So majority still, it's a large chunk, 59 or 60% almost. All right. How comfortable are you in asking for feedback? Others for feedback? Large chunk again. So 50%, half of the participants said they're comfortable. Oh, so this is a good thing. Sorry, this is a good thing because mostly find it comfortable. And 11%, so 2 find it easy for feedback. So that's nice. And 2 says it's very uncomfortable for them to ask for feedback and somewhat uncomfortable. So this is nice. We're a bit the large, like half of the participants, more than half, find it a bit easy and comfortable to ask for feedback. How about asking others for clarity? Also, like half said they're comfortable, similar with the asking for feedback. So that this is nice. And lastly, how comfortable are you in asking others for things you want? Like you want your computer to be upgraded, or maybe you ask for a raise. Yeah, so large chunk, 70%. So majority of the participants find it very uncomfortable or somewhat uncomfortable to ask for things we want because there's a hiya factor in it, and maybe also pride is at work, right? I don't need to ask the favor, I don't deserve it, things like that. So this is very interesting. Oh, some people are still asking, and Thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating. Maybe we can just keep the poll open, yeah, for the rest of the event, and then I guess I can help the I can ask the organizers for help to send a screenshot or the result of the survey to everyone in here. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone.
All right, thank you, Miss AJ. I really learned a lot, and like in the middle of the thought, I was like, I remember this common thing they say in weddings. The priest would be like, "Speak now or forever hold your peace," and then parang may papasok, and then they'll be like, "Itigil ang kasal." So it adds, I think, asking questions like that, raising
True.
questions or opening the forum for conversations is really great as well, because in part I think as a speaker, as the person asking, as the speaker, makikita mo talaga, okay, for example in a class your students ask questions and like, okay, nakinig talaga sila, and then you're kind of like using your brain power as well, and also clarifying things for yourself. So
Yeah.
again, thank you so much,
Thank you so
Miss
much also for
AJ.
having
Really
me.
learned a
Thank
lot.
you, Rai.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rai. All
So
right.
all
As
right, see you later if ever you want to stop by our AMA session for later in the afternoon. All right, so I guess it's time to move on to our next speaker. So, our next speaker is an emerging global leader and has been awarded Women in Security Best Security Leader 2021, 7 News Young Achievers Award 2021 semifinalist, NSW International Student of the Year 2021 finalist as well. With her experience, she will detail upon how the term privilege is actually a responsibility for future leaders in the making. Please welcome Kavika Singhal, a previous information technology intern at Google who will be speaking to us about women in security. Privilege or responsibility? That's the bigger question. Over to you, Kavika.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I must say, I'm learning, I'm taking notes for everything. And thank you so much for having me. The slides are controlled by you, I guess, because, and whenever I say next, can you please go to the next slide? It would be way easier for me to demonstrate and also talk about it. So let's start. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yep. So, hi, my name is Kavika, and today I'm going to talk about a topic which is really close to my heart: women in security, privilege or responsibility. As my friend says, I have worked with Google. I've also worked with Microsoft and EY during my student year. And within those organizations, I observed the cultures within the companies. And from the observation and talking to numerous people, numerous professionals from all across the globe, here are some nuggets and wisdoms from my mentors that I'm going to share with you today. Next, please. So, first, let's talk about women in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity in itself has been introduced as a niche area for a lot of people, but now a lot of women are getting into it. A lot of people are getting into it. It's getting a lot of attention. But one thing that has always stood out in the cybersecurity industry is the underrepresentation of women in cybersecurity. The inclusion of women in technological fields helps reduce inequalities. It can achieve a higher rate of productivity and innovation. And actually, it's a known fact that diversity in the workplace is evident in enhancing creativity, giving you out of the box solutions, and most importantly, including social equality and equity. And as we all know, visuals and media representation is very powerful. You might have heard of the phrase, a picture speaks thousand words. And that's why I went on to Google and I typed hacker. Hacker, the reason being, cybersecurity is often associated with hacking. It's not just hacking, but it is associated with hacking a lot. And when I went there, you can see the screenshot in front of you. It's this image that is created. And that's the image in front of people who are choosing the fields, girls who want to go into technology, and just take a step back by just seeing that image, just visualizing it in their heads. And as you can see, the visual representation of a hacker can say 1,000 words. And this brings me to the next point is that in cybersecurity, men are often viewed as champions of the field because the work in itself says that you are demanded obsessive behavior, significant long hours, and hyper focused mind, all of which is not all true. And that's why the psychological shift from the image that you can see on your screen to the image on the extreme right hand side of your screen actually is very tough because then it calls for more women who are CEOs, CISOs, bosses, and hence reduce the gender disparity in cybersecurity because that originates from school and from a very young age. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So, what we have done till now, we are creating opportunities for women in cybersecurity. I would request you to screenshot this or take a note of the opportunities that I'm presenting on the screen right now. Some of these organizations are global organizations, and for example, CyberCX, AWSN, WinSec. These are organizations which are promoting and actually educating women in cybersecurity. So even if you're a little bit interested in cybersecurity, you can go into them, attend some seminars, and learn from them. And the most important thing is to equalize this ratio in the workforce. Numerous opportunities have been introduced for women in security, including women associations, such as the one that you can see in the screen. Conferences for women. There are vacancies for women in tech companies so that they can do security roles, special internships, mentorship programs so that they can build their career by following a good and a straight path. The gender pay gap has been an important topic of discussion. You can see that my colleague, my previous speaker also talked about it, the gender pay gap. And this has been being addressed throughout the term of building opportunities for women in cybersecurity. And most importantly, paternity leave and maternity leave. Um, as young women, we always look forward to building families, balancing both work and life, and hence the conventional image of an IT professional often deters us from actually going into that career or progressing further. So these opportunities are being introduced for women in cybersecurity, and we have seen quite a good result. Next slide, please. So the rise of women in cybersecurity. So I want to discuss a good statistic with you. We have risen from 11% in 2016. The survey was conducted for women in cybersecurity across the globe, and it was 11% of the total workforce. It has risen to 24%, the gender ratio, according to the recent report, which was in 2018. And I'm sure that if you do a survey today in 2022, those the percentage would be much higher. But there is another conversation that leads to that. Is it a privilege? We are getting opportunities. There are vacancies, especially for female candidates, internships for female candidates. We are creating a space where women can rise. But is that a privilege? Can we take it for granted? Let's talk about this in the next slide. So I'm going to introduce a new term to you, zero-sum bias. I have the fortune to study technology and psychology within my degree in Australia, and this psychological balance and psychological concept really intrigued me, and I want to discuss with you today. The zero-sum bias is a cognitive belief that if one individual or a group of people are working together, then if one party benefits, then the other loses. To give a small example, I'll give you. So when you have a sibling, those who have siblings here might relate. I am the elder one, and I did. So a child might mistakenly believe that they are in a zero-sum situation when they think that the love that their parents feel for them is divided, that one child must come at the expense of the love felt towards the other. It means that when your sibling is born, you're just feeling that okay, the love will be taken away from you when it's not even a limited resource. And you know what? The zero sum situation is actually originated from a primitive belief. It's a product of evolution. So, a long time ago, when humans were progressing, and the early humans believed that all the resources on Earth are scarce and can only be obtained through fierce competition, which through which they survived. But that's not true for the society today. We function together. There are opportunities for both males and females, and creating opportunities for females does not mean that we are taking away from males. However, this belief is cognitive and it is very difficult to take away from people. So it's just a belief that is in most people or can be seen throughout my working in the industry. And it's not right because creating an opportunity for another person does not mean you're taking one away from them. It just means that you're going to mutually work together to produce something amazing. For zero sum thinkers, the world is binary. If you're in the tech industry, you might have known binary means zeros and ones. But no, the world is not binary. And binary means that either I win or lose, or I lose or I win, which is not true. And this thinking always leads to a division within the society and much tension. So, what are the consequences? Let's see in the next slide. So the consequences, as I discussed, are unhealthy competition at the workplace. You won't want to go to a workplace where everyone is competing with each other to get one thing. It is healthy to discuss our strengths and weaknesses. However, that if there is a belief that men cannot thrive in an environment where women are functioning, it can lead to a big disbalance in society. And moreover, it will lack the conversation of gender diversity that we are doing today, furthermore, widening the gap. According to a Harvard Business Review, it says that without sustainable change, that is, change which includes men and women and people of all genders going together, we will have to wait another 257 years before the gap of gender gap is closed and we may move backwards. So this is a very tough situation that we are in, and this cognitive bias is important to be discussed. So, and the fourth one, tough communication. How will you communicate with a person who you think is a competitor? And that communication becomes much detrimental for the workplace as well. So here comes the responsibility of us women in technology, women in cybersecurity. In the long run, what's our responsibility? Let's look at that. So, yes, it's our responsibility. And what is our responsibility? Our responsibility is to identify zero sum situations at our workplace, at our schools, at our universities, and talk about them. Initiate a conversation like the one that we are doing today. That is what we need to do. Initiate a conversation. If you feel that someone is taking things in the wrong way, if you think that your situation and getting an opportunity and you also feel that okay, I've been denied of the opportunity because someone else got it, talk about it, address it. Talking about situation helps. Second, recognize your privileges and build allies. What does it mean by that? It means that many of us, especially people who are in this call today, are attending this talk and this seminar and this summit. You have taken the first step towards encouraging women in technology, encouraging women in security. And that is a privilege of knowing, privilege of knowledge, privilege of wisdom. And because you have that privilege, recognize it. And build allies means share this with as many girls, as many friends, as many people you can, male and female, and all genders. because when you recognize those privileges and share it with other people, it just makes the conversation easier and much more relatable. And the third one is educate about the mutual role. Till date, and to be very honest, I'll give you a certain fact. Technology has been designed for males and it's really dangerous. That's why we need women in the workforce. We need to build more tables. We don't need more chairs. We need more tables. More tables for women. More tables for genders to work together and work mutually and create something which is very innovative, very creative. And that's why we need to educate. So this means, and the sum of every conversation that I've had today is including women does not mean excluding men. And I'm going to end it with the quote which is really close to my heart. Next slide, please. So many of us have heard of Emma Watson. She's my favorite actress. She said, and she is committed to gender equality as well. So it is time we all see gender as a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals. We're all in this together, males and females, and we are going to be in this together forever. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to me. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section, and I would love to answer any queries. Come up to me, and I have also included my LinkedIn account link. In the next slide, there is my LinkedIn account link, and you can always come up to me with a conversation. Would love to talk to you about it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Miss Kavika. I really learned a lot from your talk, especially on opening more conversations about the matter. And what really struck me was the fact that, yeah, when you said we need to create more tables to include women and not just chairs as placeholders for them in the work field as well. So, thank you so much for being part with us here. Um,
Thank you
I'd
so much.
like to cue I'd like to cue at the jazz for our next speaker as well.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right. Can you hear me? Are we good?
All right, yeah, you're back na ate. Hello.
Yes. Again, thank you so much, Miss Kavika, for that wonderful talk. So for today, it's already 12 in the afternoon, and I know you are all very hungry. And I'm happy that we're able to finish our all of our session for the morning at 12. But before we let you go for your lunch, we want you to, please answer the feedback form for the morning session. It is currently flashed on the screen below. So it's bit.ly/IWD Manila dash feedback dash AM. So please feel free to leave a comment and feedback on our event. And also, before we forgot that we are giving away our WTM swags for this year's event. So we are flashing right now is the mechanics how to win this WTM Manila swags. So what you need to do is to post in your social media account your experience or the learnings that you got from our speakers, and also include the hashtags hashtag progress not perfection, hashtag IWD Manila 2022, and hashtag WD the hashtag Women Tech Makers and hashtag WTM Manila. We'll be picking two social media winners at the end of the event, so please stay tuned on that announcement. And also, for our raffle prizes, we're also giving away three WTM Manila swags as well as 300 peso grab food voucher later at the end of the event. So for this one, for you to qualify is that you need to attend IWD Manila 2022 morning and or afternoon session and completely fill out the event feedback form that is currently flashed below the screen. All right. So again, we want to thank our following people and organization that made this event possible. We have like GDG Manila, GDG Cloud Manila, our very own Women Tech Makers Manila community and volunteers, community partners, PWA Pilipinas, Women in AI Philippines, and Google Developer Student Club Holy Angel University. All right.
Some love on different social media sites using our hashtags hashtag progress.perfection, hashtag IWD 2022, hashtag IWD Manila 2022, and hashtag WTM Manila. Again, we will be picking 3 social media winners for our WTM swags for later. So, guys, it's time for lunch. It's time to eat. And I hope you all have a wonderful meal. See you in our afternoon session.
Bye for now and see you later.
See ya!